All right, Mr. Pandey and Ms. Monica, I see that it is the top of my hour, so we are going to go ahead and officially get started. So I am now recording this webinar, and I want to welcome educators from all around the world. My name is Jennifer, and in collaboration with my Learning A to Z colleagues, we are thrilled to have you in attendance for our International Speaker Series event, Connecting Global Voices. Before introducing today's speaker, I'd like to go over a few items to ensure the success of our event. First, there are some features of our platform I want you to be aware of. We are using Zoom webinar today, which means that our microphones are automatically muted, as is our webcams. However, if at any time you run into any technical difficulties or audio difficulties, we do have my colleagues Ahmed and Benjamin that are here today to help moderate. However, I recommend that you make note of this support website from Zoom. That'll be your best troubleshooting option. Please also, as I mentioned, keep your chat box handy. We are hoping to also learn from you and connect with you through that chat box. Also, this webinar is being recorded and can be made available after today's session if you would like to review it again or to share it with all of your colleagues. Next, I'd also like to remind us all about our responsibilities we have as digital learners, digital leaders, digital citizens, and digital collaborators. As a good-sized group, our moderators will do our best to respond to our questions. However, we also encourage professional and respectful dialogue between our attendees. We also, again, ask that if you experience technical difficulties, refer to that link that I just mentioned. One other thing I want to remind you of today is that our presenters are going to be using an audio engagement program called Mentimeter. And not only will this help make our session engaging, but this is also a great tool if you're ever doing virtual presentations yourself. I've used it and absolutely love it. So it might be something that you want to explore on your own. As our presenters use Mentimeter today, you'll want to make note of this website, menti.com. That is what you will access to engage with our presenters. And it may ask you for a code. If it does, please make note of this code right here on the screen. So feel free if you want to take a quick picture of this or you want to jot this down, they'll be using that in order to engage with you. And thank you to Ben, who also just put that into the chat box. All right, everybody. Now, on behalf of Learning A to Z's International Speaker Series, Connecting Global Voices, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Ashok Pandey and Ms. Monica. Mr. Pandey is the director of the Ahlcon Public and International Schools in Delhi, India. I know we have a lot of individuals logging in from India today, so great representation. Listed by Forbes India 2020 as being among the top 20 or top 100 people managers, Mr. Pandey has authored several articles and research papers and just published his third book, Launch Your Inspiring Principal Leadership, in 2019. Additionally, Mr. Pandey sits on the governing board of the National Council of Teacher Education in India and volunteers as the National Coordinator, Climate Reality Education, Climate Reality Project, also in India. Mr. Pandey is passionate about a system shift in education. According to him, teachers must eschew being a broadcaster and acknowledge several alternative sources of knowledge. The classrooms need a redesign to elicit students' love for learning and self. The pedagogy must shun predictability and encourage curiosity, innovation, and participation. Schools should be a place where students learn to become responsible citizens and engage in community development. As an advocate of sustainable development goals, Mr. Pandey believes that equity and social justice should shape curriculum and pedagogies. It is also my distinct pleasure to introduce Mr. Pandey's colleague, Monica, who will be supporting him during his presentation. Monica is the executive assistant to the director of the schools and has over 6 years become an accomplished executive, academic content manager, and digital expert. Her associations with hashtags Change Your World, Climate Change, TED Circle, and SDGs give her the opportunity to be involved in socially relevant issues, campaigns, and advocacy. She's also an Adobe Educator Leader and Google Certified Educator. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome our wonderful presenters today, Mr. Pandey and Miss Monica. To our presenters, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow you to share yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer. Very, very kind introduction to me and my colleague, Monica. We are delighted, excited to be with you in your show. I'm also grateful to the participants from all over the world who have come early morning in your time zone and early evening in our time zone, and rest of the people in various time zones. So that is the beauty of such engagements. I'm delighted. I would like to, in the beginning itself, tell all the participants that what we are going to do in next 40-45 minutes is just to build a story of education, a very short story. And in the center of that story are our children. And around the children are teachers. Now, how this relationship between the teachers and the students will play is the text of the story that we are going to share. So before I share that story, I think all of you have come from different parts of the world, and therefore I think we must engage a little bit to be one whole unit in this whole program. And that is why I will request my colleague Monica to play a little game with all of us, and let's see how that game goes. So Monica, you can share your screen and then let's play. So ladies and gentlemen, here are the questions. I'm sure you have logged into menti.com, and then you might have gone to presentation or something, and then you have to put in code 219-20678. And then you see, I think 3 people have already played the game. I'm looking forward to more participation in this. So what requires to focus on which 2 skills are the most important? And I think people are coming in, and I find higher cognitive skills right now is doing very well. Social and emotional skills are also doing very well. Absolutely fantastic audience, I can see. Yes, a little bit of change. So social and emotional skills and higher cognitive skills are doing well so far. As social emotional has taken up. Oh, that's wonderful. So I'm sure some of the participants may not have got into the menti.com. I will request you to sort it out. But in the meantime, Monica, we can go to the next question. I think people will settle down by then so that we save some time. Oh, here we are. What are the key characteristics of transformational leaders? So you will have to do a little bit of reading. And Dr. Jennifer is again advising you to go to menti.com and then use the code, which is on top of your screen, 219-20678. Guiding, mentoring, and motivating. Guiding, demonstrating, and motivating. So 2 responses have come, 7 responses. Oh, that's good. I think guiding, mentoring, and motivating is on top so far. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin Hinton, for helping us with sharing the code and the website of menti.com. And your help has worked, Mr. Benjamin. This time, 15 participants are already there into the game. Thank you. All right. Monica, you can change it. Let's see if in the third question, the participation is more than half of the participants. What has the pandemic taught us about the learning experience? What learning experience we have had these past 18 months? Learning is a catalyst for change. Digital divide is the new face of inequality. E-learning is a way forward. Yes, that gives a lot of insight. All right. So now we have hybrid model is more suitable also. Chipping in 18. Let me see if we can reach 25 mark. Oh, 20 we have reached. Maybe in a few seconds, some more people. 21. And so far we have e-learning is the way forward, leading the poll. 23. E-learning is still on top of the game. And one more vote I'm waiting for, and then we will go to the next one. And that's awesome. Just one more. Let me see. Okay, Monica, you can give one more question. Probably that will bring the desired result. Next question, please. Oh, here you go. Moral and innovative leadership qualities. What are the definitions of? Influence, inspire, coach, and transform. Lack of adaptability and accountability. Limited vision for the future. Belief in get going. All 8 votes have gone to influence, inspire, coach, and transform. 16. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin, again. Belief in get going. 1 vote coming in there. That's a good one. 22. 21 plus 1. 22 plus 1. Yes, 24. Let me see if we can. Oh, 25. I'm so happy. I got the number. Good one, good one, good one. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. You have been a great motivator. I would like to meet you and take you for coffee. It is 28. All right. So thank you, Monica. I think we will share something with them, and then a couple of other questions that you have, we will do it a little later. Okay. Thanks a lot, Monica. If you stop sharing your screen, I'll come in. So here we are. Thanks a lot. All right. So here is my screen. And then here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. Thank you for participating in the quiz. And what I'm going to do is that this is the essence of the story that I'm going to share, that what we have to do as educators, this is my firm belief, that we have to realize the power of 21st century learning. And let's put it as excellence. And this has to come to every child, irrespective of the background of the child. And that is what we mean by equity. And that is why we have said equity and excellence for all. So every child, right from the early childhood, the foundation years, to lifelong, So foundation years, the primary, second, middle, secondary, school, college, and beyond, lifelong. And that I have written here SDG goal 4, but I'll explain it a little later. So this is the second principle of this story. And the third one is not only confined to our own context, but also getting interested in the context which we think is alien to us. But I think we are into a century where no one is a stranger to us. And that is why within the country and across the boundaries, and that is the global citizenship. And hence, this formula, just to make it easy to remember for all of us, because all of us are very fond of short formulae, 3S equals 3E. Success, sustainability for the society is a function of 3E's: equity, excellence for everybody. So that is the essence, and a little bit of explanation of this essence, that what are these 3E's? So first is all encompassing feedback. So if we really want to take care of all the children, then we have to take interest in all of them. Their academics, their behavior, their attendance, their engagement, their growth, that is one thing. And this feedback and an interest in them, should also extend to the teachers. So the leadership also come in and do everything possible to build the capacity of the teachers. So what teachers are supposed to do with the children, the leadership and colleagues with each other have to do with the teachers. And then when all the teachers come together and their common belief that they can make a difference in the lives of the children, that is where we come in with collective efficacy. And this collective efficacy is a research-based evidence to suggest that it is the most significant influence on child's attainment. And this collective efficacy, the leadership should also come in it. The other stakeholders should also come in it. And imagine if only teachers coming together and believing that they can make a difference. And if they get the support from leadership, they get the support from parents, they get the support from community, I think it can make a lot of difference. So what are what does it entail if we really become the believer and advocate of 3S equals 3E, then what do we do as teachers? Number one, undivided attention on the progress and achievement of every child. That should be our focus. That should be our passion. That should be our goal number one. Number two, we have to collaborate and we have to have a differential approach to identification and remediation of learning difficulties, because every child is unique, we all of us say, but then that uniqueness is to be responded by the teacher's uniqueness with the plan and pedagogy and engagement and assessment, and then only we'll be able to make a difference in each child. And we have to be very, very flexible. So one size fit, which is almost a cliche now, and most of us have shunned it altogether. But then what is the alternate to that? The alternate to that is flexibility. So flexibility in our approach. So even if you begin with a curriculum which is flexible and which is co-designed with the help of the learners, and then how to present it in the classroom and how to assess while the learning is going on, that flexibility will ensure that every child has equal opportunity to excel. And therefore, the last practice or the last thing that a practitioner of 3S equals 3E is supposed to do is to be a co-creator, co-learner, collaboration between a student and a student, between teacher and teacher, and between the student and teacher, and why not take it also forward between the schools and the community, because that is also an arena where a lot of learning takes place, and that cannot be ignored. So what are the key drivers? So what we did the characteristics, we did the practices, we did what teachers ought to do if they are 3S, 3E practitioners. But as a teacher, if we reflect upon our practices as to what do we do on a daily basis, I think one thing that we have to do is that what do our children expect from us? And that expectation should be on top of our mind. And that is why I have said that this is top. T, uh, uh, the purpose, the outcome, and the transformation. These are the three expectations that our children have. So they would like us to believe that as a teacher, I have to be impactful on them. I have to cause learning. I have to become more efficient, more effective. And I have to help the child as per the child's context and the child's situation. That is what children expect from the teachers, that purpose of my teaching and purpose of my engagement should be this. Then we have to bring outcomes. So what are those outcomes? As a teacher, we learn more, we become more competent, and we help others to grow around us, to help our school to be a center of excellence, bring in values and character, social entrepreneurship among these students. If this purpose and outcome is very well understood, automatically it will result into what we call transformation, because the transformation is something that is the purpose of education. If education does not transform us from what we were yesterday to what we are today and what we are going to be tomorrow, then the transformational expectation of the students will never be fulfilled. And that is why to transform ourselves, transform these students, help them be the change makers in this society, and students become the agents of change and transformation themselves. So this beauty of expectation, POT, I think that will become a pot, and that will fill all the equity and excellences for the flourishing of every child. So these are the key drivers of that philosophy that I thought. Now coming to this, what are the changes that we have to bring in if we really want to do it? So maybe because of our own experiences, maybe because of the kind of the practices we have had, those practices might have succeeded as well, and therefore we have a reason to perpetuate those practices. But I think the reflection will tell us something more. So let's pause for a moment and think that if we come with a position of authority, or if our authority is more of moral, children see in us a change maker, and then they respect our authority. Which one is better? I think that is the decision that we have to take. We have to use as adult, as authoritative figure. And since we are teachers, we can take decisions, we can do whatever we like. Will that be more effective? Or putting the children first will be more effective? That is what we have to think about. We have to teach our children to be the survivors in this world, or we have to create conditions in which they thrive and everybody flourishes. So who is first for us? The children and the organization, or the philosophy that no, whosoever is able to make his or her way out will be the fittest to survive? I think this decision also we have to take. And my way is better. It is very easy to say and practice. But what is more difficult and challenging and exciting, in my opinion, is if we can empower others. Not to treat people around us as tools and instruments to reach a goal. I think we have to involve them. They have to participate. They have to be the equal creators of that future. And for that, it is necessary that we invite their feedback. And under no circumstances, we should practice as teachers that end justifies the means. Okay, howsoever pure the end may be, our means, cannot be compromised with. We cannot take shortcuts. And therefore, the best way is that all the stakeholders come together, build a consensus around as to what is the best for this future generation. I think that is what the futuristic approach is. And that approach is morally and ethically right and innovative. So that leadership will require some more clarification also. In some of the questions that we had given in the beginning, I think there was a glimpse of this, and your answers were very revealing, very insightful. So the characteristic of this kind of leadership, which has the chance to be sustainable and which has the chance to catalyze equity and excellence for every child, are like this. That first of all, we know what is our goal and what is our direction. So obviously our goal is that every child must flourish. Every child must get an opportunity to excel. Every child must be an agent of change in the society. And every child should be at the center of our whole teaching and learning process. And we have to develop an attitude of service and coaching them. Then only they will also grow with an attitude of service. Listening to them and reflecting and responding to that on our own practices. A little while ago, I said that if we listen and if we reflect and then we respond, I think we will be more acceptable and we will be more looked up to, rather than only if we practice that we are teachers and we come from authority, we hold a place of high pedestal. That will not work. Compassionate communication, a gentle touch, a gentle communication about the circumstances of the children, what is happening in their life, what are their needs other than books and stationery and things like that. I think that will be something which will bring children bond together with each other and also with the teacher and the institution. And that, again, research proves will be a very, very fertile ground for an excellent learning to take place. Alertness, intuition, and foresight are the leadership qualities, and all teachers have to possess it. And that is why in one of the questions we asked, what should be our attitude? Get going. I think instead of get going, let's put it as let us go together. So we are one of them. And we have to grow together with the children. We have to learn together. We have to shine together. And we have to reap the benefits of enlightenment together. That is the difference between get going and let us go. We are all in it together. Student agency, we have to foster it. Their talent, their innovation, their ability to lead themselves. I think those things need to be encouraged. They have to be brought in the center of all this. Focus on higher purpose. Higher purpose of education is not only certification, not only getting degrees, not only micro credentials. It is the community building. And that has to come in the children right from the beginning. Classrooms can be converted into student-led classrooms rather than teacher-led classrooms. And at the end of it, I think one of the highest values that as teachers we have to practice is that we have to be, grateful to the forces and the Almighty that we have this opportunity of working with the children. Nothing can replace it. Nothing can substitute for the greatness of this opportunity, where we have opportunity to learn and grow and transform ourselves. And in the process, it also transforms the whole generation. And then by implication and by multiplication, it will transform the communities. Now, what could be a more privileged blessing than this? And that is where the key value to the moral and innovative leadership lies. So for that, the another thing, I'm just trying to sum it up, that when we say that this should be the characteristic of the teacher leadership to achieve equity and excellence, and this should be the value, where do we come from? I think it comes from what we say as acronym CII. The first is that we have to cognitively improve our children, that they become the good decision makers, they become the critical and inventive thinkers. They know how to collect information, how to analyze it, how to synthesize it, and they become these problem solvers in a very, very creative and innovative way. So that is the cognitive part of it. And then comes the intrapersonal. So intrapersonal is where we give a pause, we think, we reflect, we change our practices. So what are our core values, non-negotiables that we develop along the pathway? What are the cultural humilities that we develop in our children that they learn to not only accept, but to respect and to be very, very proud of other cultures also. Global awareness. I think what better example than the pandemic experience we need to have to understand the importance of global awareness, social awareness. And this whole thing is that what is the character value we have? Who are the people who inspire us? Who are the people whose company we would like to have? Who are the people who feel valued with us and who make us feel valued? These are the things, if children are surrounded by this kind of experience, I'm sure their intrapersonal component will exponentially rise. And the last thing is interpersonal. When we talk of higher cognitive skills, some of you said that is the foremost skill. Some of you said socio-emotional skills are the foremost skills to be imbued. So where that comes from? It comes from the relationship management. It comes from nice and compassionate communication. It comes from collaboration. It comes from building relationships. It comes from valuing people. And it comes from team building skills, because there is nothing left which can be accomplished alone. I think the things will be accomplished in teams, in collaborative environments. And that is why this cognitive, interpersonal and interpersonal, the CII model is the bedrock, in my opinion, of moral and innovative leadership, which the teachers must practice. So we are dealing with children, and 2 or 3 things I will share here with you before we give a pause or we take some questions. That, for a very long time, what we have done is that we can find the whole purpose of education. This I mentioned earlier also. I'm giving a new insight into it, that we have to prepare the children for life. Even in a kindergarten, the child is being prepared for life. The child is not being prepared for the next class. The child is maybe being prepared for the next class. It's fine, technically, and for a career and all that, but actually that preparation is for life. And there are a number of ways to prepare for this life. So there is no one way. So we don't have to push all the children into one way of preparing for life. I think we have to present to them a variety of pathways. And that is, again, when we talk of equity, it only means that every child will have his or her own pathway to be pursued. And the job of the teacher and organization and the community is that those pathways must be made available to the children. And the third thing, which has been my lament, particularly from my own context here in India, that we have focused too much for a very, very long time on highest percentiles, highest marks, frenzied race for reaching on the top percentile levels. But I think the time has come when we sit back and we think that even if the high percentile is there, and even if it is not there, is it possible that we prepare our children for the highest incredible contribution to the world through service, through projects, through living their dreams? I was very happy and touched when Dr. Jennifer was showing her first slide of some instruction. A child was standing there and with his some microscope or something like that, maybe telescope, and he or she was trying to look beyond. I think that summed up almost everything that I'm saying, that young child's fantasy or the real picture of the world magnified through the lens of the instrument that she is using far into the horizon. And that is a symbol of that dream of that child. Now, how do you nurture that dream? how you nourish that dream, and how we enable the child to fulfill that dream. I think that is the crux and essence of the entire teaching and learning process. And therefore, uh, what we have to do is, other than all that I have said, that these are the three things which are very, very important. That what is the passion that the child is developing, and what is the purpose that child is developing, and that voice must be included in our teaching and learning process. What are the enabling infrastructure, enabling academic requirements, enabling other factors, so that choice a child must be allowed to make. And therefore, for each student, what is relevant for that student? How can we personalize that need, and how we can fulfill that need for the child is the child's future. And therefore, this voice of the child, passion and purpose, choice of the child, the enabling factors around, and the future's relevancy and personalization of the child. I think if we bring these three things into the focus of our teaching and learning, by giving children an opportunity where they become the decision makers, they lead the classrooms, they become part of the professional development of the teachers, they become the heroes of the campus, where even teachers and head teachers start shadowing them as to what their life is, what do they think, what are their challenges, what do they think, where does the discussion amongst them lead them to. I think that is something audacious to talk about, but I think it is imperative from every point of view, in every sense of the term, and that need to be included. And that brings us to this gear shift. So we have been moving in one gear so far, with one philosophy, one thought, and here is a time, can we shift that gear? So what did I say? There are multiple pathways. So can we shift to that gear? Can we create laboratory schools where all these innovative things happen? Can we all bring it to our own environment and we say that, no, here on, we are going to move from the current situation to the future situation. And here we are preparing children to learn. And if earning is also part of it, and why not, let them go and earn, and let them return to the campuses, not maybe the schools, but to the campuses of credential building, campuses of tertiary education. They relearn it, and then they go back to the community again. And there are many children in the world, because of a variety of reasons, either they have no access to education, or they have access to education and they drop out for whatever reasons the circumstances may have forced them to. How we bring them back into the teaching and learning process, into skilling them and reskilling them, and making them a productive community member, so that they are not dejected, they are not depressed, they are not disengaged from the community. I think that is also very, very important. And for that, I have suggested that what all things can we do. Some of this we are doing, some of this we can do more intentionally and vigorously, aggressively, and some of that we may not be doing it. So can we trust our children with internships more than ever before? Can we put them into job shadowing? Can we encourage them to do community work? Can we ask them to understand the skills and give them short micro-credential courses, cultural learning, sports, student exchange program within 2 schools in neighborhood or even far? How can they become the advocates in the society for the societal cause? How they can volunteer? Volunteering is very, very important, because we have everybody on the job, and they start taking up their job because they get something, then they are busy with themselves, but we don't have volunteers, because at a certain period of time, a critical mass in the society thrives on people who volunteer to help them. During the COVID period, I think the volunteers have done an incredible job in reaching out to the vulnerable people, in giving them food, giving them company, giving them emotions, sharing stories with them. I think we need volunteers at every stage in our life. And the last thing that I suggest we can do, and which is very, very powerful, and that is the peer tutoring. When children start taking interest in each other without any envies or without any competitions, and they become the agents of each other's development and valuing each other, I think the entire group and the entire cohort of students, they grow together. And that makes the job of the educators also easy. And in any case, it brings a very, very important value in the community when we are able to help each other, when we are interested in each other's welfare. That is something very, very important, in my opinion. So from this, I think I'll shift a bit, because as educators, as parents, everybody is worried about as to what will happen in future. So that future is something which engages our mind, because all of us want some kind of security in our lives, and we need some kind of secure job. We want some prosperity, and we want that we have to have a very quality life for ourselves and our families. Fine, it is absolutely fine. But what happened was that 100 years ago, if we had a certain skill, that skill was enough to get into a job, not only for that generation, but also for a generation 50 years, 100 years down the line. But things are changing so fast and so swiftly, surprisingly, that today the skill sets that we develop, their shelf value is reducing dramatically. So what we learned 10 years ago may not be useful today. And what we need the skill 10 years from now, that skill we may not be learning. So that is where the catch comes. And as educators, I think we have to depend on research to find out what kind of skills are required. So here is one scenario I'm presenting before you, just to make my point and just to give an illustration as to what should happen. So let us say that the 5 skill sets in the last 20, 30, 50 years, how they will go. So in 2016 and 2030, this comparison of physical and manual skills, basic cognitive skills, higher cognitive skills, socio-emotional skills, and technological skills. So the need of physical, manual skills and basic cognitive skills in the next 10 to 15 years will reduce, whereas need for higher cognitive skills and socio-emotional skills and technological skills will increase. And I'm very happy that in the polling that we had, most of you felt, and rightly so, that higher cognitive skills and social emotional skills, these skills will be required more. So what does it suggest? It only suggests that in addition to the technical qualification, the cognitive skills that we are putting so much premium on, I think we have to put premium on our ability to be creative, collaborative, critical, and inventive thinker, ability to think for each other, ability to be sensitive to each other. I think those abilities will be required more. And that is what this study by McKinsey group suggests, that in future, the skill sets in the higher cognitive domain, the socio-emotional domain, and technological domain will be very, very important, and we just cannot miss it. And just to sum up the whole thing, that how do we future-proof the schooling? How do we future-proof the students' need? For that, this 5-point agenda I have. First, we have to bring in parents. Parental engagement is very, very important. And that model is Quest model. Q, that we have to allow the parents to ask questions, develop understanding with them, engage with them, develop a structure of communication with the parents, and team up with the parents, rather than developing a fault line or friction or quarrel or misunderstanding or whatever it is. So parental engagement is a must. Equity and excellence we began with, we are ending it with, because that is the essence of it. Student-led initiatives, professional networking of educators is very, very important. And this is what Learning A to Z has provided us with today, that we are able to engage with each other. And a student-teacher collaboration is another area which is very, very important. So equity and excellence can be achieved through student-led initiatives, professional networking and capacity building of the teachers and educators, teacher-student collaboration, and institution and parental engagement through that model quest, which I explained just now. That will be a good recipe for all of us. Now we talked about technological skills. I think we all know the digital skills are very important. We all know that societies are becoming massively digitized. We all know that we have to navigate, but just bringing this to our classroom, what would it mean for a teacher is that we should be able to design our lesson using digital resources, both for in-person teaching and online teaching. I think that is one skill that all of us have to learn, and we have learned it and we know how important it is. And therefore we have to further sharpen our skills on lesson designing through digital media. How to search for web resources, that's something very, very important, because excuse me, a lot of resources are available, but how to curate that, how to make out the best for us, and that skill needs to be transferred to the students also. And then project-based learning, outcome-based learning, competencies, masteries, personalization. I think we have to develop a lot of insight into that. That skill is there. And then instead of just fragmenting our effort of storing the information, disseminating it, embedding group activities and assessments on various platforms, if we are able to bring it all on one learning platform through LMS, as we call it, I think we will be able to use the digital resources much more effectively. So therefore, these are the digital skills that teachers have to learn, in my opinion. And the last thing, now I think in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'll wind up. Everything that I have said today can be seen in this particular slide that you are seeing. And this particular slide, most of you are familiar with, but I'm just building a context, and therefore I'm repeating something that you already know. These are the global goals. They are also known as sustainable developmental goals. And what could be the goal of education? 2 goals. The goal of education is education itself. We must all have quality education. And that is goal number 4 here, if you see it. And the goal of education is, through that goal number 4, we are able to achieve a world which sees that nobody is poor, nobody is hungry, nobody has lack of water, nobody has lack of energy, nobody is unequal. Everybody has decent job opportunities. Everybody has a good living space. Everybody has clean air to breathe. Everybody has the ability to respond to the climatic changes. All of us live with peace, and then only the prosperity can be ensured. And all of us live, as we said, with the welfare of each other. And that is called partnership. So goal number 17, you see, is a partnership. So the purpose of education, which began with equity and excellence in the beginning, and for the success and sustainability of the society, should find an inspiration here. That if our children are educated, then only this sustainability will be achieved. And therefore, with this background, I come to this is my summary of everything that I had said. And I'll just take a minute or 2 to summarize the whole thing, that what should be the broad picture. The broad picture is that we have to reboot our education system, keeping future skills in mind, with excellent infrastructure, with a very sound policy, with great institutions, with great culture. That is my narrative to all of you. So future skills, everybody should be economically sound, employment opportunity, goal number 8. Health and well-being, goal number 3. Peace and prosperity, goal number 16. And global citizenship is goal number 4.7. For that, you need infrastructure, goal number 9, and goal number 10. We need a sound policy, again, goal number 4 and 16. And institutions must be centers for high quality education, character building, human capital formation, and bringing in sustainable communities, goal number 11. And equity and values, as I said, are always reigning on top. And if we can ensure this for our children, I think we have rebooted education and we have rediscovered the new purpose of education, that is equity and excellence for all. And as I sign off, two things I want to share with you, very, very important. Coronavirus, all of us have seen how fast it is mutating. It is changing its variants. I think the human nature is also now that we must mutate in the sense that we learn what is good for us and we do not succumb to the machines, okay? And therefore, let us mutate this being human into giving a pause, seeking nature and divine, and doing exactly what is ordained to us. So that is the first human mutation. And the second signing off is that this mutation can be achieved only when personal development excites us. And we take short but frequent cycles of learning driven by moral and innovative leadership, and which is aligned with the whole purpose of education and also with our organizational goal. So these are the two my parting messages and in a way requests to all of you. With these, I thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer, for giving us this opportunity and all the participants for listening to me with such great patience and love. Over to you, Dr. Jennifer.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Pandey and Monica. I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking with Mr. Pandey for quite some time now, and I was so excited for today's session to learn from him. But what I didn't expect was going to happen was that reignition of passion that I believe we all have for education. Your talk today and your ideas really have me thinking about things perhaps I could have done differently when I was in the classroom, but what I could do now, even out of the classroom, to inform and push forward education. So thank you so much for inciting that passion in me and really just starting my day off, and hopefully where we're all in different parts of the world, getting us excited about really the possibilities and the responsibility we have as educators. So I do have two questions from you, and I hope that you also take a moment to look at the chat box with the wonderful comments that have been put in there. I think the audience is feeling the same exact way. So Mr. Pandey, a question for you. Yes. What is the first step? We have a lot of diverse educators in our session today, and we're all on a different journey, and we all live in different contexts. What is one simple step that educators can take if they're interested in making this shift from more of a traditional type of education setting or framework into some of the more futuristic, as you describe them, ideas? What is like a first initial step that they could take tomorrow? What would you recommend?
Very good. The first step, treating the children wherever they are in the world as the assets of the world. Children are the assets, and we all have to invest in the children. So I think that is the first step. Now, once we have to invest, I think we have to have something with us to invest. So one thing that we have and we don't know is that we have time and we have values. So let us not hesitate and shy away from investing our time, energy, and values. The second thing that we have to invest is our knowledge, experience, and skills. So for that, it is necessary that we build our capacities. And that is what I talked about. So how to build our capacities so that we are able to invest even more. And this investment will come back to the society in the form of a dividend many, many, many times more. So I think that's the first step.
Wonderful. And I think something that stood out to me in your response is, perhaps for all of us, it's starting here today. Just hearing these ideas, getting excited about them, and taking that step and that willingness to begin that new journey towards more of that transformative, or as Mr. Pandey says, futuristic type of education, beyond just the cognitive, exploring those other areas, interpersonal and intrapersonal. Good. One more question, Mr. Pandey.
Yes.
I am going to infer that this was a journey for you also. I know that when I look back as I started as an educator, I'm a very different educator today. I'm going to assume that might be the same journey you have been on. So in your journey as an educator, and as you perhaps have made these shifts in your own thoughts and ideas, what is one of the biggest challenges you've experienced? What was one of the most difficult hurdles or barriers to overcome as you gradually made this shift yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jennifer. This question, you have touched me emotionally, and therefore my answer would be emotional. And my answer would be based on my own context, the Indian context. You know, two things very briefly. India is a land of knowledge and land of Gurukul Parampara. You know, in Hindi, Gurukul Parampara means teacher-disciple system, where the teacher has always been seen at the top and disciple in all humility, submission, learning. So we come from that knowledge system, right? And therefore, what would be your expectation? If you believe what I said, Dr. Jennifer, you would imagine that in India, everybody would like to become a teacher, right? Unfortunately, this is not happening. We have a huge population and we have a huge unemployment problem as well. But we are a teacher deficient country. Can you believe this? Right from elementary level to the higher education level, we are a teacher deficient country. And children, top children coming from the universities and colleges, teaching is not their first option. That is what has, hurt me the most. And therefore, my greatest challenge has been how to make teachers being so proud of themselves that every teacher is, at least by her own example, able to inspire 5 people at least to take teaching as a profession. Because if the best minds do not come to teaching, how can we expect to produce best minds, right? So that is what has been my very, very emotional challenge. And one of our former presidents and a scholar president and a statesman president, Dr. Radhakrishnan, and his birthday in India, Dr. Jennifer, is celebrated as Teachers' Day on 5th September, not very far from today. So he said that don't celebrate my birthday, celebrate it as Teachers' Day. And you know what he said? He said, the best minds must come to teaching. Society must accord highest respect to them. Society must make their life dignified. And once you do this, then only you can make teachers accountable for what they are responsible for. I mean, that is his message. And I want this message to go loud and clear for the youngsters of today to choose teaching as a career, which I told you in my presentation is one of the most privileged blessings. People have to simply understand it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And I can't think of a better way to come to a close on our session is what I heard you just say, celebrate teachers. It is such a privileged role. And all of us joining us today, what you do does not go unnoticed. And especially now more than ever, the challenges we face. So on behalf of Learning A to Z, thank you so much, educators out there, for everything that you do. And Mr. Pandey and Ms. Monica, I thank you so much for your presentation. I have learned so much, as our audience has too. And somebody just said in the chat box, Dora, what a boost for teachers' self-esteem. And I think with that comment, you've definitely met your goal of today's session. So thank you so very much. Mr. Pandey, I know that there was an opportunity that you wanted to do a couple more Mentimeter questions. Would you still like to do that?
Monica,
okay, I'll let you do that now. And then everybody
Monica,
stay on for just a couple. We're going to probably run about 5 minutes
more. Yes.
We'll run about 5 minutes late if you can stay. Just a couple announcements after this.
Yes. So
I
Monica,
hope my screen is visible.
Yes. Oh, here it is. What should be the main focus of education system post COVID-19? Yeah. So let me see how it goes, life skills education. Yeah. Or redesigning curriculum. Yeah, come on, please. Let me see. Oh, lovely. Oh, so there is a tie. Employability skills is not coming in. Good. Dr. Jennifer, if you are listening to me, yeah, yes, I was remembering Mr. Benjamin. I think your intervention is a must. Yes, great. So redesigning curriculum is coming on top. All right. Monica, you can go to the next one. Which of the SDGs from the following require the most urgent action? So I talked about SDGs, so I thought, let me see how SDGs have gone. Oh, lovely. Lovely. Climate change, peace, justice, quality education, gender equality. This is surprising. This audience doesn't think gender equality is a priority because maybe your context has no such problem. So climate change, oh yes, of course. Oh, here you are. Great. I think some more people should come in. Yes, Dr. Jennifer, you can select all. That's true. Absolutely. All right. Okay, Monica, thank you very much.
Yes, last question of the day.
Yes. Which of the following is a significant socio-emotional skill? Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes. Come on, please. Come in. Come in. I think one more request from Benjamin, please. People are waiting for you to appeal. Yeah, so relationship management. Absolutely. Yes. Very nice. Monica, this is the last one, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, you could have chosen all of them, Dr. Jennifer.
Yes,
Like
all of those were wonderful things. All right, fantastic. Well, again, on behalf of Learning A to Z, thank you to all the educators that joined us from all around the world today. Your attendance and your participation is greatly appreciated. And again, to Mr. Pandey and Miss Monica, thank you so much for your enlightening presentation today. Thank you so much for motivating us. You definitely motivated me, gave me things to certainly think about, and gave me that passion to continue making those changes. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to just comment on 3 additional things that Mr. Pandey said. He mentioned a lot about social emotional learning, student agency, voice and choice in the process, and also that co-creation of knowledge. And since we're all educators, that starts in that classroom. So I would encourage you also to check out learningatozee.com. We have a variety of resources and products that support those 3 things and many of the things that Mr. Pandey spoke about today. For example, if social and emotional learning is something that you're interested in, we have a brand new resource in RAS Plus called Meaningful Conversations, which guides you as an educator to really build your students' interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships and skills and strategies. Also, please mark your calendar. Our next international speaker series is Ms. Loris Rodriguez. She will also be joining us from India as a literacy specialist. and she'll be talking to us about how she experienced her journey into a maker-centered classroom. So it'll be a great next step if we're taking some of Mr. Pandey's ideas today and also translating those into the classroom. That will take place on September 28th at 8:30 a.m. and you will be getting more information in your email about that. Also, I want to let everybody know that by joining us live today, you will be entered into a drawing after today's session. And at random, I will select one lucky winner to win a free 1-year RADS Plus subscription. So be sure to check the email that you used to register for today's session by the end of today to see if you won that subscription, and I'll provide you directions on how to access that. And hopefully you can explore those resources and use them in the classroom to begin that first step in your transformation from the traditional type of education to the more progressive and futuristic that Mr. Pandey talked about today. So with that said, thank you everybody so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. And one last time, let's give our thanks to our wonderful speakers, Mr. Pandey and Ms. Monica. You have truly enlightened us, and I cannot thank you enough for your expertise, your experience, and your passion. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
My
Monica.
pleasure. Thank you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and close out the recording in the room. And then I will be in touch, Mr. Pandey and Ms. Monica, with you. Again, this has been such a pleasure, and I so appreciate your time and learning from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This has been